Afternoon, peeps. Good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button. If you guys are new to the channel, don't forget as well to like and share the vids. All right. What is there to talk about today? Let's start with this one. Carl Froch. I think Canelo is past his best. Bivol will win the rematch. Yeah, I agree with that as well. And I understand what I mean by past his best. I still think Canelo is a phenomenal fighter. Like, he's top 5, top 6 pound for pound for me. So when I say past his best, I'm certainly not saying he's done. I'm not saying that at all. Although I don't think there are many fights left for him. Just because I don't think there are many challenges out there that get him excited to really have to go to the well and really go balls to wall in training camp. So I still think Canelo is a phenomenal fighter. So when I say past his best, and I said this on the video the other day, I think the best Canelo I've seen is that time when he fought Golovkin 1, Golovkin 2, Danny Jacobs. I thought he was absolutely sensational. The Canelo that we have now isn't the same guy. Although some could argue and say maybe he just couldn't get up for John Ryder. That's that's a fair argument. I would counter that by saying he was fighting back home for the first time in 11, 12 years. He's going to get up for that. So I just think there is a little slippage. And Carl Froch's second point about that he won't beat Dimitri Bivol, yeah, I don't think he will. Not at 175 and maybe not even at 168, depending upon obviously how healthy Bivol can make that weight. I do wonder who's out there for Canelo. Like I was thinking about this the other day in terms of sort of big fights. Like I do think there was a time when Canelo, a bit like all the superstars, when they start to wane a little bit. I mean, in terms of pay-per-view, they do need a dance partner. They can't do it all themselves. Like, I don't expect the Canelo Ryder to have done incredible numbers just because I think, again, Canelo needs a dance partner. And you look who's out there and what's the biggest fight for Canelo. Bivol will do good numbers, maybe not great numbers. A lot of people are very excited about Benavidez and potentially it could do good numbers, although Benavidez hasn't proven himself to be a pay-per-view guy. I mean, I'm hearing the Caleb Plant fight did really low numbers, around 100,000. But then again, I mean, Gervonta and Ryan did massive numbers. I think Gervonta's biggest before that wasn't great either. So sometimes you just need to match up two guys. I think, and I know a lot of you guys are going to laugh at this, and I fully understand why. I always feel like for a fight to be massive, like massive, and I got this from watching Tank versus Ryan, you almost need, I think, two demographics coming together. Like obviously Ryan brought the Mexican-American fan base to the T-Mobile Arena. And I'm telling you now, Gervonta brought all the black people. And it was literally just two different fan bases coming together. And that's why the gate was incredible. Honestly, it was a ridiculous sort of ridiculous night. And I was thinking about what fight would people go crazy for? Like what fight out there that can or can't be made, and this is more leaning to the can't be made, which people would go, oh my God. Look, Wilder, AJ would always do good numbers. I think Fury, AJ would do good numbers. This fight, yeah, that I'm going to mention now, I remember about a year and a bit ago, the person actually said he would fight Canelo. And I kind of said, don't be stupid. Canelo, I tweeted it. Canelo will break him in half. And that person is Errol Spence. Now, a lot of you are going to go, what the fuck? Hear me out. I'm not saying Errol to go to 168. Again, this is just a mythical fight in my head that I think would do insane numbers. We know that Errol can do good numbers by himself. Errol's done, in terms of bums on seats, Errol's done the Dallas Cowboy Stadium. Errol's done good pay-per-view numbers as well. I think he's touched that 500,000 mark. Imagine a fight was made, and I still think Canelo's undersized at 168. Imagine a fight was made between Errol Spence and Canelo at 160. And by the way, I'm not saying Errol beats Canelo. I'm just saying imagine that fight was announced. Imagine the numbers it would generate. Am I lying? Am I lying? If Errol Spence versus Canelo was announced tomorrow at 160 pounds, yeah, even 164 pounds, Errol's a big boy, by the way, it would do bigger numbers, way bigger numbers than I think Canelo Benavidez, and I think Canelo versus Bivol. You can call me crazy, I'd accept it. I'd accept it. I'd accept you calling me crazy. I just think an African American versus a Mexican always seems to do well, especially the big guys, always seems to do well in America. And I just think those two fan bases coming together, and it will be at the Dallas Cowboy Stadium. Oh my God. Oh my God. I don't know what the capacity of that stadium is, but it would sell it out. It would sell it out. And just the intrigue of it, like Errol Spence jumping 2 weight classes, unbeaten Errol jumping 2 weight classes to take on a Canelo that is on a slide a little bit. Nah? Tell me you wouldn't give your hard-earned cash to watch that. Of course you would. Of course you would. And by the way, again, look, I ain't saying that Errol beats Canelo. I'm just trying to say the intrigue would be so big, it would do well over 1 million pay-per-view. But well over. It's the biggest fight that can be made in boxing right now. It's obviously very unrealistic. I'm just saying it's the biggest fight. And it does get to a stage though with Canelo where, I mean, are we going to want to see Canelo versus David Morrell or Mbili, the unbeaten Cameroonian, I think based in France? Who else is out there? I mean, it's kind of short. There isn't that many out there. And that's why I kind of, in my head, sort of started thinking about fantasy or matchups that can be made at catchweights. And Errol, just because he's bigger than Crawford, by the way, Errol's the one I thought, Errol. More so, even more so than Jamel or Jamal for some weird reason. I just think Errol's saying he's going up to fight. Just because we know Errol does good numbers, Errol's saying he's going up to fight Canelo, I think would just it would break the internet. It would break the internet. Won't happen. Just put it out there. Imagine it though. Oscar Valdez, I miss being called champ. I'm hungrier than ever. Let's see what Oscar Valdez can do. I do want to see Oscar Valdez versus Joe Cordina. If I'm Joe, I call him out now. I know Joe said when I spoke to him about wanting unification fights, and there's been some talk about Zelfa Barrett. Call out Oscar Valdez. Oscar Valdez potentially is still the biggest name in the division. Regis Prograis says he didn't feel Top Rank would guarantee him fights with Ramirez, Lopez, and Taylor. Yeah, I think I saw Rob Tebbett's interview with Eddie, because, you know, sometimes as a fighter, you don't necessarily go to the biggest promoter. You go to who has the bulk of the 140 guys, and Top Rank have Ramirez, Lopez, and Taylor. But then Eddie kind of listed out some of the 140 guys he's got, and it was actually it wasn't too bad. Like, obviously the immediate one is Paro, but then after that, you are looking at Jack Cattrall potentially, and there's others as well. So let's see. Eddie would comfortably match him with anyone that he's got, and I guess Regis Prograis knows the kind of checks he's getting as well, so he'll be okay. He'll be happy. Devin Haney, I hold the keys to the lightweight division. It's kind of difficult to say that. If by keys he means belts, then okay, but it's difficult to say that when there was a lightweight fight. I know it was just above lightweight, but it was a lightweight fight which did 1.2, 1.3 million pay-per-view buys. So it's difficult to say you hold the keys when you ain't touching that. You ain't touching that. It reminds me of that bit when Danny Jacobs saw Jamal Charlo and said, you ain't touching M yet. Obviously, Devin Haney's touching M in terms of money in pocket, but in terms of pay-per-view buys, you ain't touched the M yet. So it's difficult to say you hold the keys when there's guys in your division that have done record numbers. Focus on Loma. Jake Paul, Nate Diaz is way bigger pay-per-view draw than Tommy Fury. The fight makes more sense. I don't know, man. Tommy Fury, and Jake Paul allegedly done 750,000 pay-per-view buys. I mean, if Jake versus Nate gets anywhere near that, then wow. I mean, DAZN would be very, very happy. Look, I love it. I did a piece today at the DAZN headquarters with Dan Hardy, former UFC title challenger, and Barry Jones, and they broke it down. I mean, those two, as just analysts, the way in which they broke down the styles of both, can't wait for you guys to see it. I'm excited for this. I really do think that Nate's going to just be way too much for him. Way too much. But, I mean, you never know, man. You never know. Jake Paul, very, very confident. Doesn't look like the defeats affected him at all. Adrian Broner, I want to become the undisputed champion at 140 pounds. No, it's not going to happen, is it? I mean, No, it's just not. I was watching a piece the other day by Andre Ward talking about how important it is to kind of keep yourself, especially at the elite level, how important it is to keep yourself sharp, keep yourself ticking over. Like, it's so easy at that level, you know, when you're fighting guys that are C and D level, fine. An elite level guy can maybe take a year out, take a year and a half out because they're just that much better. When you're fighting the elite guys and you've just been a part-time boxer for the best part of 5 years and you think you can switch it on and off against those elite guys, ain't happening. As much as I was, to an extent, still am a fan of Broner, you can't just switch it on like that and think you're going to, beat Josh Taylor, Ramirez, Lopez, Prograis. Get the fuck out of here. Ain't happening. I think, and I've said this so many times, if I'm Broner, I call that Conor Benn. It's a money fight. It's the fight that I think Conor would want, because Conor's obviously been looking for those type of opponents. I think it's a fight that ticks the box for both of them. If he's trying to get one of those guys at 140, the killers that I just mentioned, he's losing. He is losing. What I saw today, I saw something on, let me, 1 second. I saw something about this Fabio Wardley, Fraser Clarke fight. Let me go to Eddie Hearn. I think Eddie Hearn tweeted something about it, like the British Boxing Board of Control heard from the British Boxing Board of Control that Boxer have pulled Fraser Clarke out of Fabio Wardley purse bid today. What a complete joke and a waste of our time, robbing the fighters of an opportunity and the fans of a brilliant fight. Shambles. What is going on here? This is very, very strange, because look, I remember I did Fabio Wardley's last fight and Fraser Clarke was right there and he was just hovering around the interview area, just staring down at Fabio Wardley, wanting that fight. I've spoken to Fraser Clarke. He wants that fight. It almost seems like the people behind him don't want the fight. Because I'm telling you now, I know a lot of people might dig out Fraser. Fraser wants Fabio Wardley. Fraser thinks he can beat Fabio Wardley. Whether or not you guys think it's a whole nother thing, but Fraser wants to fight. I don't quite get what's going on. Ben Shalom wants to fight. So I don't know if this is them necessarily pulling out because they're scared, or maybe Ben Shalom's trying to make a play for Fabio Wardley, which he's not going to. Fabio's not leaving Eddie. I don't understand what's happening here. The only conclusion I can make in my head is that the people behind Fraser, so what's that, 258 management, don't want it for Fraser next. They maybe want one more and then. That's the only conclusion I can make. I don't know what happens now with Fabio. Does Fabio fight David Adelaide? Does he fight Solomon Dakers? I'm not quite sure, but this doesn't look good, does it? Because it almost, from a very basic standpoint, it almost does look like Fraser's ducking Fabio. And trust me when I say Fraser ain't scared of Fabio Wardley. He ain't. I think most would have Fraser favourite in that fight. Most. I'm not quite sure who I would have as favourite, but it's a weird situation here. But yeah, it looks like they're both going to move on, and maybe the plan is for, I don't know, Fraser to have one more and then fight Fabio. But if you're Fabio, I mean, are you going to wait? You'll fight someone else. So look, we'll see if that fight can happen sometime later on in the year. What else we got? Wilder's coach, we're going to get a lot of this crap. Joshua is right in line to get knocked out by Deontay. When I say crap, by the way, look, I don't mean he's point, because I mean, that's what he's going to say. I'm tired of it. Are you guys not tired of this AJ, Wilder, Fury, Usyk stuff? So tired of it. So let's leave it. Luis Alberto Lopez, confident I will knock Michael Conlan out. By the way, that night, I think I'm right in thinking that May 27th is that fight. So that Luis Alberto Lopez versus Michael Condon, I think that's the same fight or the same night of Lee Wood versus Mauricio Lara. I also think it could be the same night as Lawrence Okoli versus Chris Billiams. I hope I'm wrong, but I feel like they're all on that day. Let's have a look. 27th of May, Chris Billiams Smith versus Lawrence Okoli. That's fact. Lara versus Wood. What is boxing doing? What is boxing doing? So we have 3 world title fights, all fights that are quite intriguing, right? Good fights. I mean, a Coley Billiam Smith's a stadium fight. AO Arena, Manchester for Lee Wood. Conlon versus Luis Alberto Lopez is a good fight, all on the same night. What's a boxing fan supposed to do here? Stupid. And boxing loses out because the numbers now are going to be spread over 3 events as opposed to all eyeballs on one. I don't even know which one people is going to choose there. I'm guessing people will choose the one I'm working on, surely. What's this one? Hughie Fury gunning for Wilder Joshua. I'm going to make a statement. Are you? When was the last time Hughie Fury fought? Wasn't Hughie Fury supposed to fight Michael Hunter about 6-7 months ago? It's weird now. Hughie Fury is now 28. I remember when he was coming through and he was supposed to be the one that became a world champion before, as young as Mike Tyson. He hasn't fought since the 16th of October 2021 when he beat Christian Hamer. I remember when he fought, was it Marius Vac? And I thought that was his best performance. That was December 2020. Yeah, I think you can't go from fighting Marius Vac. So his last 3 fights have been Pavel Suwa, Marius Vac, Christian Hamer. I don't think you can do that and then say you want to take on the might of AJ and Wilder. I get it, confidence, but no, I'm not quite sure. What else have we got here? Shakur Stevenson on fighting Tank Davis. He's the cash cow, the A side, so it's all up to him. I am so intrigued as to who Gervonta is going to fight now. Because, look, Gervonta is the cash cow, but it was Ryan versus Gervonta. So it's difficult to think like Gervonta. So Gervonta necessarily isn't the cash cow. It'll be so interesting to see who he fights next, how big that name will be, and what the numbers will be. Can he stay in and around that? Look, he's not going to get 1.2 unless he fights Shakur. Even then, he's not going to get 1.2 million. But you don't want a drop off from that 1.2 to 200,000. You kind of want to, if there's going to be a drop off, and there will be, you want it to be 700,000. If I'm Gervonta, this is it now. This is the time. Gervonta, you're 28. This is the time. It has to be Shakur or Devon. It really has to be. It has to be. There's, and yes, you maybe give them a bit of B-side money instead of, them taking, 50-50 split. Although Devon would insist on that. But that has to be the fights next. Michaela Meyer focused on mandatory crack at 135-pound title. Feels her best will be at 140. I think Michaela Meyer is coming to Ireland for the Katie Taylor-Chantel Cameron fight. Really looking forward to that one. Should be a good fight, that. Should be a really, really good fight. Katie Taylor's been through some wars, man. How many times can she go to the well? How many times? But Chantel's not fought anything like that. I mean, she's not, has she? Nowhere near that level. And the atmosphere as well. I mean, I don't know how she's going to deal with that. Not quite sure. Danny Garcia on Erislandi Lara showdown. 3-division champ coming soon. What belts Lara got? Has Lara got a belt that Golovkin vacated at 160? Okay, he's got the WBA regular title. Wait 1 second. Okay, this I hate. So is it? I think it's just the regular title that he's got. No, I think he might have the full title. Anyway, but it doesn't matter. Erislandi Lara has a belt at 160. This fight with Danny Garcia is at a catch weight of 155 pounds. What? No, that's almost stealing belts for me. That's stealing. Let me see if Lara's got the full. Is this the one that Golovkin vacated? Let's have a look. I think it's a regular, but if not, then, it looks like he potentially could become a champion at 160 pounds. Is it a regular? Doesn't say. He might have been upgraded, after Golovkin either got stripped. I think he is the champion. Weird. All right, guys, girls, I think that's it. It's been a long day. We have to study for the Misfits press conference tomorrow. Wish me luck, because those things they're brutal. Brutal. Peace and love.